Good morning, folks. Today, a quick update on my ongoing and active trade. A look at Bitcoin, MSTR, CRO, and I'd like to actually just start with some news. Oh, it's another day and another massive NFT heist. Honestly, this pseudo rare, just looking at it, I haven't dove in too deeply, but I hope they catch them. Apparently, one of the wallets that was interacted with was KYC checked, or backed. So, on Kraken, and as much as I don't like the idea of KYC and the ability to stay private, on the other hand, this is a perfect example of when it's actually quite useful. And so, if you're holding your coinage in a exchange that does require it, perhaps you're a bit safer. But we'll see what Kraken does with the information. I mean, essentially, the pseudo rare pulled the rug after 6 hours from when it was opened. And they managed to almost take $1 million out of various tokens contributed to the projects. Not sure how that works exactly. Not sure how the contract was set up and why it was possible for people to lose all their shit, but they did. And let's hope that someone gets caught from all of this. If you really want some JPEGs, some Web3, let's say Web4, AI generated beautiful art, check out Midjourney. I just found these guys recently, and I am absolutely impressed and very close to indeed joining their subscription because it is too much fun. I mean, you can get lost in the rat's nest very easily. And also another interesting little tidbit that's not Web3 related necessarily, but we do live on Twitter. So, there was a lot of issues around, Elon Musk when he was buying and he didn't trust them and wanted to get some information. And there was some sketchy shit going on. And actually just recently there was a internal report by one head of security at Twitter who blew the whistle. And it's interesting that the article whistleblower tag is not actually trending on Twitter. Who would guess? And whenever I tried to look up protocol, which is at protocol, and I typed in at protocol in my tweet, it didn't even show up. Then again, there is a lot of other protocol names in Web3, so there is some room for, let's say, error in terms of the suggestion AI on the Twitter side, but it seems a bit sus. Anyways, I definitely subscribe to the protocol guys over there, and the Web3 is going great if you want to follow some of those articles up to date on a day-to-day basis. Back to Web3 trading. So Bitcoin last night was pretty lackluster. I mean, there's nothing too incredible going on. We closed about the same place we opened for Australia and Asia. And then Asia, as seems to be pretty common, Asia brought us down about 2%. And we've now returned essentially back to where Asia started. And, we're just kind of trading sideways. We could be forming some sort of, longer term, if we want to look at just some common symmetrical triangle, which will eventually break, that sort of thing. It's very common that when we leave at the opening, when we go one direction, which is in this case, we were going up into the EU brinks, and then we got pulled down. And in Tokyo, we went up and then we got pulled down. It's quite common that we do reversals like that out of the gate. We are following some of my short-term, GAN distribution fan layouts here, so you can see every time we hit this line, we're getting, we're pretty much getting rejected. Here was a very strong vector candle to the top, which generally speaking is indication that retail is about to get their asses wiped. And that's exactly what happened. I mean, everybody up here is hitting their liquidation points by the bottom here, holding and hoping that they make it through. Some, if they got out here instead of thinking like, oh, okay, this is the time we're gonna, make it, then they got a swift rejection back down. And then before we got even to that same levels again, we rejected hard. So anybody that was in this range is, and taking a 10%, a 10x leverage is getting liquidated or dropping out of their positions if they didn't DCA or buy in slowly along the way. Instead, if they just put their full position in here, they're in trouble down here. So be very careful with your leverage trading because it's tricky out there, and the market is out there to steal your money. So I am actually, speaking of, still in a CRO trade at the moment, and it's profitable. It looks like I'm around 7% profitable at the moment, and it's going up and down depending. I still have about 70% of the trade in play. Let's go ahead and look at CRO for a second. Ooh, that's gross. We see a lot. So this chart that I'm looking at is a custom accumulation distribution chart, heat map, where green means effectively you should be, I should be. It's telling me that I should be accumulating slowly or fast, depending on the color shading, and the brown, depending on the color shading, is saying I should be distributing slow or fast, meaning if it's brown, I should be selling. And that's what I've been doing. That's exactly what I've been doing on the 15-minute interval. Anyways, it's holding pretty good according to my plan. And again, just last night, I was setting my buys. In this. Sorry, not last night. That's not true. Last night was here. I was actually setting at around 0.126, and so I sold out about 20, 25, maybe 30% of my my holdings there. And now we're kind of in an interesting spot where it's not exactly clear what's going on, but on the 15-minute chart, anyways, maybe this is a W, retrace, pop. We could potentially see that. Although my indicator is telling me to continue to accumulate shorts or sell. So on the MSTR front, this is a distribution, an accumulation fan here. So when we hit the tops, we're generally selling. So when we hit the bottoms, we're generally buying. It's still not exactly perfectly laid out. I don't have the greatest methodology here yet to explain it nor display it visually, but here's what's more important for the day, or for the week rather. We will either end up in this zone or we will end up in this zone. In my mind, it's an absolute given that by the end of this week, maybe through the weekend, this is where we're going to be returning. We're either returning up for a short relief rally into the 300, 325 range, or we're going to return back down to the 210, maybe even 200, range, because the even number 200, 300, that's going to be a stronger range than 210. But the gap is actually from July 18th, July 8th. So this is a month old. These are month-old gaps that have not been filled. And I see another one here actually, but I suspect that one's been filled. No, it hasn't. So I see another gap that I missed somehow here. Oh no, I see it there. I just didn't have it in the right color. So anyways, these are all pre-market gappers that generally get filled within 24 to 48 hours, and we start trading within those ranges again. Almost always check your charts. You'll see what I mean. Open up a 15-minute or a 30-minute or even an hour chart and go to some of your favorite US stocks, for example, MSTR, and try to find every time from the previous session close to the opening session next day, when there's a gap, how long does it take to get filled? And it almost always, these are the only ones in the chart that are visible to me, and you know, I have actually worked on a little script, and I'm going to be publishing it in time, but it doesn't work as well as I'd like it to, so I'm not even showing it. I'm just manually still. But I mean, you can even see it. Here's a perfect example, and another small little gap that hasn't been filled. I'll go ahead, and since we're here, go ahead and put that in there. But you know, you can see this gap. Look at that. Perfect little fill. That's all it did. It only filled that before going back. And that's the point. So it's oftentimes these gaps are the point in which we look to return. And so in this case, we are either going to be returning here or here. We're about in the midpoint. Let's say that's the start of the move. No, that's not what I want. Let's say that's the start of the move, and that's the bottom. And look, is it coincidence that we hit the golden pocket and get strongly rejected? Is it coincidence that we hit the 0.2? I think that's the 0.2. No, that's the 0.5. Okay, that's even more interesting, right? So we hit the exact middle and get rejected again, right? So this is the reason I'm shorting is because it does feel like before we can make the real relief rally, we're going to be hitting these lower numbers. We're going to be going back to recover the liquidity left behind around 210. That means I'm also selling my MSTRs, as I've told you in the past couple of days, and I'm building short positions along the way. So I seem to keep having these errors, and I'm going to go ahead and try to quit this and upload it, because I don't want to keep wasting my time chatting. But I do expect we will probably continue along these paths towards 210 on MSTR, which means Bitcoin is going to be going down as well. Unfortunately, to hit at least 20, maybe 19, you know, anywhere below, and we can look at some of the potential there. And you know, we could potentially go all the way down into the 17 range given the current. So let me update this move a little bit. It looks more. So where are we at? Yeah, no, that doesn't work. So I'll need to update my fans. There's clearly another range here. I don't have shown in the charts, which I will dive in deeper maybe next time and look for, so we can try to uncover where Bitcoin is headed. Have a great day, guys, and be safe out there. Cheers.